Close your eyes and imagine the backdrop for the fairy tales you loved as a child. Now open them. If you're standing on the shores of Lake Bled, Slovenia, seeing the church-topped island and the castle-topped cliff, then you're already there. Is this the most beautiful place on Earth? I certainly think so, and I'm not alone. Millions of visitors have marveled at the fairy tale perfection of Bled, Slovenia. This podcast brings you the wonders of Bled, its people, places, foods, history, and experiences. Everything you need for a perfect holiday. I'm your host, Noah Charney, and this is the Bled Podcast. Is this the most beautiful place on Earth? Let's begin. Hang on, why am I all wet standing waist deep in Lake Bled, in my underwear eating pizza? And what are two of my best buddies doing here with me? And why are there 30 pizza boxes? To answer this puzzle, we need to go back in time a bit, and the answer is part of a special bonus episode just in time for Christmas, offering a behind-the-scenes view of filming Adventure of a Lifetime, a cinematic promotional film for Bled tourism like no promo short you'll have ever seen. Over the last 2 years, I've been involved in a multimedia project in collaboration with the Bled Tourist Board. It included a book, Bledology, which was published in December 2024, plus this podcast, some articles and in-person events, and promotional videos, which I'd write and in which I would appear. This is the story of how the video was made, and it's a very unusual, striking video. I knew who I wanted to work on the video with. Cyril Jazbec is probably Slovenia's most successful and in-demand photographer and filmmaker. He's a regular with National Geographic and wins all sorts of awards despite his youth. We'd worked together on a few projects before, and I love his work and hanging out with him. One of my favorite things about my work in Slovenia is that I have the chance to collaborate with so many interesting, successful, but above all good people. If someone isn't kind and good, then I'm not interested in them. Being a good person is the top priority. Everything else comes after that, but Cyril's got that covered as well. I once wrote the text to a National Geographic article of his. Normally, the author of an article is at the fore, but not with Nat Geo. They commission the photos and then, very last minute, try to find someone, any old hack, to throw some text around the photos to make an article out of it. I jest, but only slightly. So Cyril asked me to write an article to go with his photo series of exotic, even by Slovenian standards, carnavale traditions in rural Slovenia. The photos were amazing, but I didn't know anything about these traditions. I had never been to the wayward corner of Slovenia where they took place, and I only had a few days in which to research and write the article. For National Geographic, yikes. Mala malca, a little snack as they say, no problem. That done, we also worked together on a video for STO, the Slovenian tourist organization, with which I collaborate often. It was a video promoting Slovenian culture. Cyril has made quite a few of these on various subjects and with different protagonists, including Tour de France winner Tadej Pogačar, Michelin 3-starred chef Ana Roš, and freediving champion Alenka Artnik, all of them promoting Slovenia. I worked on the script with Katarina Jazbec, Cyril's sister, and we spent several days filming together. Cyril gathers together an all-star team for his crew. Every member is a prominent photographer or filmmaker in their own right, but they come together as a Avengers-style super squad to make Cyril's short films. We had a great time, and the resulting short film was beautiful. But it was essentially a documentary, a camera following me as I explore Slovenian cultural destinations and meet some friends along the way, Slovenian artists and writers. When it came time to plan a video for Bledology, I knew I wanted to work with Cyril again, if he were free. He's in such demand that he's often flying around the planet, and it would be tricky to catch him between, say, filming a TV commercial in the US and spending a month in Greenland photographing indigenous locals. We found a time and now had to come up with a video concept. We didn't want a repeat of the documentary approach we'd already done together for the Slovenia culture video. In conversation with Cyril and Katarina, we got the idea to make a feature film in miniature, a 2-minute or so, highly stylized video that would tell a full story with characters rather than just filming me being Noah in a beautiful place around Bled. I suggested that I could appear with some of my real-life friends, and that maybe I shouldn't be the protagonist this time, but a sidekick. As we sat around a table at the office of Surreal's production company, Tent Films, I showed photos of some of my friends who live here in Slovenia. Two of them seemed immediately like good candidates. I shot off some messages to ask if they were interested. They were, and so it was cast. The plot would be as follows. Three dudes from abroad, Noah, Mel, and John, are looking for the perfect place for Mel to propose to his girlfriend. He would be inspired by Slovenian basketball phenom Luka Doncic, who proposed at Lake Bled and posted a photo of the proposal on Instagram. So the idea is the three friends head over to Bled to scout proposal locations. The video then follows us as we audition sites for the proposal. Cyril had the cool idea to make this very stylized, a bit in the vein of the films by the American auteur-director Wes Anderson. He's known for strong pastel colors, retro costumes, and a surrealist approach that blends filmmaking with a children's book tableau vivant aesthetic. Shots are often obviously posed, making them look like illustrations rather than the naturalism that we're used to in film. Thankfully, the folks at Bled Tourism were all in, and so we had a plan. We worked on the script with comedian Rok Bohinc to give the film a light, quirky, witty vibe. Cyril assembled almost exactly the same team with which we'd filmed the Slovenian culture video, so it was like a reunion of old friends. There's a special bond that comes when you film something with a tight group, much as there is a bond among actors in a theatrical performance or a sports team that competes together. The Super Squad was back. We filmed over the course of a very full weekend, and this was no small feat of logistics. Filming began at 6 a.m. on a Saturday and ended around 9 p.m., with the same schedule repeated Sunday. Our first shot was not easy to coordinate. We occupied an entire train carriage and would film our journey from Ljubljana to Bled and our arrival at Bled train station, with its wildly picturesque vista out onto the lake. We got into our costumes, very retro pastels that were stylish back in the 1970s. John and I were meant to be Mel's slightly naughty friends, who really were here for a guy's holiday hangout, so we would playfully try to sabotage Mel's attempts to seriously scout a proposal location. It was fun acting, if I can call it that. I'm not very good at it, rather than being in presenter mode, which is what I'm used to when filming. Filming is both exciting and boring at the same time. It's exciting to be making something as part of a team, and when you have to act, particularly if you need to deliver lines, it requires great concentration and energy. And each take must be equally focused and energetic. By take number 10, say, this can be difficult to muster. But filming days are long with lots of waiting around time, especially for the lighting to be set up. And so it bounces between thrilling and tedious, fresh and repetitive. This filming experience, though, was a total delight because I was acting with my real-life friends and the crew were likewise buddies. We had to time the descent from the train perfectly because we were on a real train that was adhering to a real schedule. So we had just one take to get off the train before it rolled on to its next destination. Thankfully, we got it in the can, as they say. It was the beginning of a packed weekend. We filmed in many locations: Bled train station, Belvedere Cafe near Villa Bled, Bled Castle, on a rowboat on the lake with the island in the background, in the presidential suite in Villa Bled, in a hot tub full of flower petals, at Pokluka Gorge, underwater in Lake Bled, on a fiaker or horse-drawn carriage, and finally at the Terglau farm in the village of Zasip, home of the amazing schnapps that I explore in various other episodes of this podcast. There were cameos from various Bled friends of mine: Mateja Resch from Vrt Okuso, Bojana Pipan, aka the Mistress of Snow Pears, the Terglau family. The resulting film is quirky, warm, stylish, it's great fun. And it's a special treat to have made it with such a great team of friends. Which is, of course, why I'm in my underwear, soaking wet, waist deep in the lake, eating pizza. When we finished filming, we all jumped into the lake, but most of us hadn't brought swimsuits. So underwear it was. Plus we hadn't eaten, hence the 30 or so boxes of takeout pizza. I don't think there's anything better than eating a pizza with your buddies while still waist deep in the waters of Lake Bled after finishing a film and taking a swim. If I can think of anything, I'll get back to you. I'll go with this as my idea of a perfect day. I certainly hope that you enjoy the short film, which is called Adventure of a Lifetime. You can find it on YouTube and on the Bled Tourism website. And the best news? We've been asked to make a sequel, this one set in winter. I hope you're enjoying these podcasts of mine about my favorite country in the world, Slovenia. If you'd like more, consider grabbing a copy of my first best-selling book on living and traveling in Slovenia, Slovenology. But there's now a new book, a sort of sequel, Bledology. Everything you need to know about Bled, Slovenia is gathered in a single engaging book featuring photos by National Geographic photographers. Bledology is part guide, part travel memoir, and part history, written by me, an American author and professor in love with Slovenia and living here for more than a decade. Intentionally subjective, humorous, but also practical, this is the one book you'll need about Bled, whether it's as a souvenir of your visit or to read in preparation for a holiday in, as I call it, the most beautiful place on earth. The book includes chapters with guided walkthroughs on Bled Island and Bled Castle, hikes, outdoor wellness, and Rikli, a food guide to Bled, including the cream cake, a Bled top 50 to-do list, Bled with children, recommended itineraries for stays of various lengths, and photographs by Simon Plestenjak, Matjaž Tančić, and Cyril Yazbets. The book is a very personal project, my subjective selection of what I think is the very best of Bled. I didn't know that much about Bled before I began this multimedia project. Like most people, Slovenes and foreigners alike, I only really knew about the castle, the island, and the cream cake. But over the last 2 years, I've explored every corner of Bled and its surroundings and found all manner of hidden treasures, still hidden even in Slovenia's most visited tourist destination, to now share with you. You can get a copy of Bledology from the Tourist Information Center at various places around Bled, at www.bled.si, and in many bookstores. Thanks for joining us for this episode of the Bled Podcast. Is this the most beautiful place on earth? The official podcast of the Bled Tourist Board. In each episode, we explore Bled and its surroundings. You'll find it all here, in this image of paradise.